Every now and then.
Go ahead, Mr. President.
Good evening, 6:30. We have a quorum here, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. Treasurer Weber, would you do the roll call, please?
Mr. Demakian?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Present.
Mr. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Dr. Hall, will you introduce the gentleman who will be leading us in the pledge, please?
Yes. Superintendent Mr. Tucker, Treasurer Mr. Weber, Board President Mr. Williams, and distinguished board members. Tonight we have a student from Hawthorne Elementary School who will lead a Pledge of Allegiance. Thomas Moore is a third grade student and is the son of Chris Moore and Linda Weber. He has one sister, Maggie Moore. After the pledge, Thomas will speak about leadership. Ms. Stephanie Alexander, principal of Hawthorne Elementary, and his teacher, Ms. Alzea, is here tonight to support her student. Thomas, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Mr. Fallis, before we get started, on your chair, you're going to see the gem with the blue tab on it.
Yes.
That has the potential vote for all the items for each item on there, as opposed to the one we sent you before.
Yes.
Allows for a vote on each item. Okay, for the organizational meeting, as opposed to the consent agenda. So that's what we should probably use.
Okay, thank you.
Everything else is there. Everything's
Thanks
exactly
for
the
that
same.
clarity. Thank you.
I'm going to speak to you tonight about what it means to be a good citizen. To be a good citizen means that you are respectful of others and their ideas. You can show respect by your actions and by your words. At home, you can show respect by doing your chores and listening to your parents. At school, you should listen to your teacher and do your homework. In our community, we can be good citizens by showing respect for others. On Monday, we will be celebrating the holiday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King is an important person. He was one of the leaders of the Civil Rights Movement and believed that as citizens we should work to make sure that everyone in our country has the same rights and opportunities. In one of his most famous speeches, he said, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold the truth to be self-evident. All men are created equal. I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Last year I visited the memorial of Dr. King. And it was a good reminder of the things he stood for and what we as citizens can do to make our country great for everyone. Thank you.
We'd like to, his parents and those who came to support him, please stand up and recognize as well. Please stand. We have a certificate as well to present to Thomas and tell him and his parents thank you for choosing Lorain City Schools and supporting us as well. Appreciate it. Thank you. I'd like to turn it back over to the board.
Thank you. On behalf of the board, Thomas, we would like to thank you for presenting tonight as well. I'd like to move to the next item on the agenda, which is nominations and election for president. And I'd like to have a motion to open up nominations for the election of president.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Tim Williams.
Second.
Nominations don't require seconds.
Thank you.
I nominate Mitchell Fallis.
Motion to close nominations.
Motion to close nominations.
Second.
Support.
Mr. Damachia, do you support there, sir?
Yes.
Okay, we're closed. Nominations, and just need a roll call vote. Mr. Damachia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
This is for closing?
Closing, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Okay, now we get a vote on the presidency. So Mr. Damachia votes for,
Mr. Williams?
Mr. Fallis votes for,
Vote for myself.
Mr. Smith votes for,
Mr. Fallis?
Mr. Sturgill votes for,
Mr. Williams?
Mr. Williams votes for,
Mr. Williams.
so declaration of president is Mr. Timothy Williams. Mr. Williams, no oath of office, sir? Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as Board President of the Board of Education of Lorain City School District, Lorain County, Ohio, to the best of your ability, in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office until your successor is elected and qualified?
I do.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. This time, gentlemen, we would continue with the nominations for the election of the Vice President.
I'd like to nominate Anthony Damachia for Vice President.
Are there any additional nominations?
I'll nominate Mr. Fallis.
We have a motion to close the nominations.
Motion to close.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Damachia?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
So the vote on our president, Mr. Damachia votes for our vice presidency. Mr. Damachia votes for.
Damachia.
Mr. Fallis votes for.
Mr. Fallis.
Mr. Smith votes for.
Mr. Fallis.
Mr. Sturgill votes for.
Mr. Damachia.
Mr. Williams votes for.
Mr. Damachia.
Declaration of vice president is Mr. Tony Damachia. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as Vice President of the Board of Education of Lorain City School District, Lorain County, Ohio, to the best of your ability, in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office until your successor is elected and qualified? Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, Mr. Damachia. This time we will continue with the fixing the day and time and place of the board meeting. This may require some discussion. It has been asked if we would, board members, consider moving the meeting till Monday. And so that will, is there any discussion? Well, we just need a motion first.
I cannot attend on Mondays, the last Monday of the month. I have board meetings at Vacation Land Federal Credit Union every last Monday of the month.
We, 6 years ago, moved the board meetings from Monday to Wednesday because of the conflict with City Council. And I would still say that that would be not a good night for the meeting. I would not support that. We could go back to Wednesday night, but Monday night is in conflict, so I would oppose that.
Yeah, I missed that one meeting too. Is there any other suggestions, gentlemen? What about the first, Mr. Weber, what about the first and third Monday? Is it imperative that it's the fourth week?
It could be,
I think we're setting that right now.
You know, you
aren't we?
choose, right?
So, Mitchell, the fourth
If I might,
Monday is,
Mr. President, just a question for Mr. Weber. Traditionally, you have things that need to be approved at the end of the month. If we go to the first and third, how would that,
I'll be okay. It'll be okay.
because at the third Wednesday, you wouldn't have that month's.
Well, we typically approve the board stuff, board financials on the second Tuesday if it falls in the calendar properly. So if it's the second Wednesday, I would say the third Wednesday, the first and third Wednesday we're talking about, right?
Yeah, it's been the
Monday, whatever it's
second,
gonna be.
it was second
It
and
would
fourth.
just be the middle of the month. I'm closed by 4 or 5 days in
Okay.
the month anyway, so I should be okay with that. Yeah. The only difference would be at the end of the fiscal year, that's a whole different issue, but
What is the problem with Tuesdays?
It's my understanding there's school events that conflict with that evening. As we've read into that in the past, obviously, we've had to move board
I
meetings.
think that's
around
true with
because of
any evening.
there's always going to be a conflict someplace, so with the majority would desire. Mitch, is there a challenge with you? The fourth Monday is your issue, correct?
Yeah, it's either the fourth or the fifth. I don't have.
Okay,
problems.
so the first
I
and
don't
third
have
wouldn't,
a conflict with the first or third. I do
Okay.
not.
okay. So we're trying to find the place where it's convenient for everybody without a significant conflict. So gentlemen, is there any significant conflict with the first, the third in terms of our school schedules or?
No objection here.
The only issue you'll have is a few times a year, but you'd have it no matter what day you pick. It would be a holiday, you would just go to the following day.
Okay, well, we have had discussion. Should we call this to vote?
Are we calling the day or?
The day would be the first and third Monday, 6:30 p.m. here in room 10, Charleston.
Well, I think in the past we have not set a location. I don't think that's, it's not required as a location, is it, Dale?
it's not required, but we had done it in the past.
Because when you change locations, you want to make sure it doesn't create a special meeting.
Yes, that is my understanding of the law, yes.
What is your understanding?
If you pick the location, recommendation has been able to create a special meeting.
So
So
I
we'll leave
think
the
we ought to
location out.
leave that optional. personally.
Yeah. So then I would modify the motion to be the first and third Mondays, 6:30 p.m.
Motion for the first and third Monday at 6:30 p.m.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fells?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. This time, gentlemen, tape and televised regular board meetings. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve tape and televised board meetings.
Support.
Roll call.
Or, excuse me, discussion. Roll call, please.
Well, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I just was going to say it would be helpful if there was some way we could get things in the paper as to what is on Channel 20. I don't know if we could do that once a month, or if we're going to televise board meetings, maybe they should be at a standard time every so many days after a meeting so the public knows. Because really, if you go to Channel 20, you really don't know, there's no way to know what's on.
Don't we put that on our website?
I think it's on, it's at the mercy of the people doing the work, and we don't have a full-time person doing that, so you get that there's a burden on us. But I do believe he puts it on, you turn on Channel 20, it says it will be broadcast at these times. My brother watches it all the time, so I know it's
He
on.
watches us?
He watches us, yes.
What's his
I have
problem?
no idea. He must have insomnia.
So, Jim, I think the safest thing is, in terms of our board responsibility or authority, is to determine that we will do it. The administrative side of it has to be charged with, those logistics, because there could be anything that could change that, and we wouldn't want to create violation of a policy by putting in some kind of arbitrary time. I think the value is that people need to know if we can support the community knowing when it is, that's great. So, but the motion, can we have a roll call now, please?
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Order of business and procedure.
Motion to approve item 3, A, B, and C.
Support. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Item number 4, set board member compensation.
Motion to approve item number 4.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Just for an explanation, some of you, this is part of our organizational meeting, so these items are pretty routine. We'll get through them. We all know what they are. We do this every year, so we aren't just jumping around. There's a purpose here. Item number 5, resolution establishing service fund for 2014 as referenced by policy 3315-15.
Motion to approve item 5.
Second.
Discussion?
I just had a question for Treasurer Weber. The resolution before us sets aside $20,000 per year. If that money is not used at the end of the year, is that carry forward to the fund, or is it just go?
Sure.
Does it revert back to the general fund?
We're back to general fund and reserve-based budgeting every year for something like that.
Okay.
It's, the maximum is 20.
Okay.
It's $2 per enrolled child, correct?
Yes, and we maximize at 20,000, we've always done the 20,000.
Yeah.
Yes. We've seldom spent the 20,000.
I just got, well, it says in the second whereas that it says that you can expend no sum greater than $60,000. So that's just boilerplate language from,
Right.
so we just have a policy of just reverting that money back to the general fund at year end.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
No further questions. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Roll call establishing payment of annual membership dues. Item number 6.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Discussion, gentlemen. Roll call,
What are,
please.
excuse me, what are those dues, Dan? Is that based on student size?
It's about 8,000 a year. Is that what that one is roughly? Yes, there's a little formula they use. It's about $8,000 a year. Yeah.
For those of you who probably don't know, that it's basically the lobbyist organization for school. And I have always found the money was well spent. And what we learned through them, the programs we can attend, seminars, other things, so.
Well, in addition to that, based on being a member, we get some significant reduction in costs for services they provide. They did our superintendent search. They will be doing our strategic plan and a variety of other
And
things.
the policy update.
Updating our policy updates. Yeah, it's probably the best chunk of money we spend.
Yep.
Something like that. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Item number 8, authorization for superintendent to act as representative. Oh, I skipped 7.
Item 7.
He went to Hilarious School.
Ooh. Consideration of payment for OSBA Legal Assistance Fund membership.
Motion to approve item 7.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Now on to item 8, authorization for superintendent to act as representative for grants.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Item number 9, participate in local, state, federal, and private grant programs.
Motion to approve item 9.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams.
Yes. Item number 10, appointment of purchasing agent.
Motion to approve item 10.
Support.
Thank you. Discussion? Roll call.
Wait a second.
Oh, discussion.
Wait a second.
Okay, all right.
Who's our purchasing agent?
According to this, it's recommended the superintendent or his designee.
I'm reading the wrong thing here.
Yeah, I just skipped over there too. Yes, this is what, yeah, it's a superintendent or his designee.
Gives us authorization to buy things, anything.
Okay, I see it.
Mhm.
Toilet paper. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, anything.
I was following the wrong thing.
We ready for the roll call, gentlemen? Mr. Weber, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams.
Yes. Item number 11, appointment of legal counsel.
It's been 6 years since we asked for a request for proposals from local law firms and or attorneys. I think we should, as being good stewards of public funds, do that once again before we appoint. 6 years ago, the only responder was Mr. Giardini's law firm. That well may be the case this time, but I think we need to do everything we can to provide good service, but also at the best possible price. So I move that we, that we move to encourage any legal firms wishing to send in a proposal in the next 30 days to Mr. Weber, who could share it with the group. And anyway, my motion is to offer local legal firms the opportunity to submit a proposal for legal services.
I have a few questions really towards Mr. Tucker, Mr. Weber.
Well, it's not seconded yet anyway, so.
I think the appropriate motion would be to, correct me if I'm wrong, would be to put this on the table and then go with your recommendation and then bring that back on the table once the RFP is done. So I think you have to put it in that context.
I need to. Yeah, so can I now? I would first defer to Mr. Tucker or Mr. Weber to determine what we can do.
This particular item here, all this does is allow us to engage legal services. It doesn't have anyone in particular. If we need to do that, otherwise you can't engage legal services. Then, if you choose that other motion, then that would be in addition to this, the way I understand it.
Or
Right, Dale?
by law, we can always go to the city law director. That doesn't require any motion. Correct?
Yes?
The Ohio Revised Code does
I believe you've been through that argument. Right.
Well, there is no argument, Mr. Tucker. He is our...
No. I believe you've been through that discussion in the past.
In
That
the
argument
interim,
is discussion
he
in the
would be
past.
certainly available. We also have an in-house attorney.
I would
Is there a
highly
motion?
recommend.
I don't know. That's a good question, Mr. Demakia.
Yes. Is there a motion and a second?
I remove my motion and...
Okay, motion to approve item 11.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Well, it says appoint. Now, who's here? Who are we appointing?
Again, this is just giving us the authority to seek legal
We're not appointing
counsel in any
anybody.
event as
Just
needed.
engage.
Discussion?
Just engage, not appoint anybody.
Well, I think that's not what the item says. It says appoint.
No, it says it is recommended that the board administration engage in legal services and general counsel as needed.
Then don't put the word appointment in the motion.
There's a motion and a second. We've had discussion. We will now call the motion.
I mean, that's a matter of...
Mr. Weber, roll call, please.
Demakia?
So,
Yes.
Please
Mr.
read,
Sturgill?
please read the motion, please. Mr. Weber.
Motion is to appointment of legal counsel is recommended as board administration engage legal services and general counsel as needed.
Okay.
As needed.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Again, yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams.
Yes. This is agenda number 12, which is the authorization of investment funds.
Motion to approve item 12.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Item number 13, request for available monies.
Motion to approve item 13.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Item number 14, consider petty cash authorization.
Motion to approve item 14.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Item number 15, consider change fund authorization.
Motion to approve item 15.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yep. Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Item 16, agreement for payment of educational costs.
Motion to approve item 16.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Item number 17, authorization of superintendent to accept resignations.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Item 18, authorization of superintendent to hire staff between board meetings.
Motion to approve item 18.
Support.
Discussion?
Did we already do this? Or do we have to do it every year?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Every year?
Every year. Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Every
Yes.
superintendent?
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Item number 19, reappointment of BIOC Bond Issue Oversight Committee members.
Motion to approve item 19.
Support.
Discussion?
Have they been asked if they wish to stay on?
At this stage, no, we have not. This will be the first.
Jeff's nodding his head, yes.
They have been asked?
Yes, we extended it by an
I
email.
thought, yeah.
I know I didn't.
all accept?
I'm sure they will.
I think it was if you,
Okay.
I believe the email was if you were not willing to serve.
Right.
So if they didn't respond, that was, they were willing to serve another year.
Negative confirmation, thank you.
Yes. It's-
Well, with that said, Mr. Hawks, thank you so much for
So,
extending
for
the
those
invitation.
of the audience who do not know what this is, in 2001, when the community was asked to pass a bond issue for our share of the construction costs for all of our new buildings, the school board at that time assured the public that there would be oversight on their money should they pass the bond issue. And this committee has functioned every year since 2002. They meet on a quarterly basis and they review all of the expenditures, all of the things that are going on in the various projects that are underway. So it's just what it says, it's oversight so the community knows their money is being properly used.
And I must admit, they provide a very, very excellent financial report to the
They
board
do,
here
yes.
this past fall. They do a very nice job.
Thank you. So, the motion, did we
Yes.
usually do all that discussion first and then, but.
No, you always have a motion first.
At this time, I
I
will,
got a roll call. Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
yes. Gentlemen, at this time, I have my recommendations for the committee appointments for your approval, and I will read them as follows. We're pretty much broken down. There are approximately 3 committees per board member, with Phil and Jim being appointed to 4 respectively. And they are as follows. The Athletic Committee, Tony Demakia, Bill Sturgill. The Bond Oversight Committee, Mr. Jim Smith, Mr. Mitch Fallis. The Business Advisory Committee, which will be reignited, will be Mitch Fallis and Jim Smith. The Endowment will be myself. Evaluation, which is a new piece, which will be responsible for preparing the evaluation for the superintendent and treasurer, that would be Jim Smith and myself. Facilities Committee, Bill Sturgill, Tony Damachia. Legislative Liaison would be Jim Smith. I would be his alternate. The Ohio Urban Schools, the appointment would be Bill Sturgill. The alternate would be Tony Damachia. The Policy Committee would be Bill Sturgill, Tim Williams. The new appointments, this will be a committee that this superintendent is putting in place, which is the Strategic Plan Committee, would be Mr. Mitch Fallis and Tony Damachia.
Motion to approve the committee appointments.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Damachia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. And with that, gentlemen, what we would like to do at our next meeting is have a work session to do some committee formatting. At that time, we would like to clearly define each committee and its function, come up with a committee meeting schedule. It might not be the specific date, but it would detail whether the committee is meeting monthly or quarterly to the best of our ability. Determine a committee composition criteria. Will our committees have 7 people, 12 people, 3 people? Will they be different? But we need to discuss these things. And then we'll ask the superintendent to provide each committee with administrative support. For example, we would assume that the athletic committee, the administrative appointment would logically be Brian Corey. The facilities committee, Mr. Jeff Hawks, whatever your designation is. And then what we would like is by the first meeting or the second meeting, I should not be too ambitious, in February, that we have these committees populated. So that would give time for the interaction between that appointment from superintendent and the 2 board members assigned for them to meet. And then we need to make sure that we've got community members engaged on these committees. So hopefully we can be functioning sometime, if not by March, into the second quarter.
Would you repeat before we move on, just repeat?
Yes.
Sorry.
I'll do this. You want to look at it?
What's the question?
He wanted me to repeat which committees individuals are on.
Why don't you just tell him what committees he's on? I know what I'm on.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else needs that information.
The Bond Oversight Committee, it's you and Mitch, Jim.
Okay.
The Business Advisory, that's you.
Who
And
is it? Who else on the?
Mitch.
Okay.
The evaluation of the superintendent treasurer, that's you and myself. And then you are the legislative liaison.
No committee. There is no committee.
No, it's just,
And would you want the board members to be ready at the work session to provide a list of people to join on those committees, or do you want to do that by February?
I think by February,
Okay.
there's a good chance many of us understand the nature of these committees.
Okay.
But I think when we get a bit more detailed explanation, then that might help us to define which sectors of the population we need representation from.
Fine, okay.
And also, this isn't purely a board assignment of individuals. The administration, that's why it needs to be kind of a joint effort to populate them, I think.
And one thing, that we can discuss that would be very helpful is a liaison, someone who's on, not necessarily a board member, but sometimes committees work and the other committees don't know. For instance, the Strategic Planning Committee and the Advisory Council. Well, there's kind of something, I'm just saying that one needs to know.
Correct. And what I did intentionally, looking at those, you will see there's certain overlap even of the board member assigned.
Okay.
Those who have a very, not unique, but they're cross-related. And so to make sure there's continuity and transfer of information, we thought it'd be.
Okay.
Just a comment, probably would be wise to have committee minutes, so those who maybe are on a committee that they are on a committee that would be impacted by another committee, they can at least read and find out what's going on. So if we can get some support along those.
Exactly, and that's really why we want to have a work
Facilitates,
session. Because we
the
really need
communications
to,
between the committees.
yeah, there are a number of
All right.
things that we really need to make our committees more efficient and effective. And I think, so write those down, make sure we bring those to that meeting.
And I will say any committees out of Jeff's office are well-staffed and there are always minutes, but that doesn't happen on all of our committees. So,
Is that okay with you, Mr. Tucker? That doesn't
well,
impose on you too much, does
you
it?
can take the minutes.
I also answer to a commission.
That's why you can designate everybody out, so.
And time is limited.
Let me, while you sit, I know you brought it up, but his staff is really overwhelmed in doing support work with the Distress Commission. And I think we have to, as a board, understand that whether we like it or not, they come first. And they require a lot, do they not?
Yes, they do.
If you ever go to one of those meetings. I mean, they like to talk a lot, and that's true, but usually they're talking about good things, and that's all due to he and Elena and all of the people he has. So we have to not be too hard on the young guy.
Motion to adjourn?
Second, roll call?
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams.
Yes.
So the org meeting is adjourned at 7:04 PM.
What time? Oh, okay.
All right, 7:05 PM.
And if,
I was looking at mine.
it's okay, gentlemen, we will not take a break. We will move expeditiously into the next meeting. So, Mr. Weber, if we could have a roll call to order, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Present.
Mr. Smith?
Present?
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams.
Yes, present.
We did the pledge of allegiance.
We don't do the pledge of Are there any recognition of any new visitors at this time?
Yeah, this is January. It is the School Board Recognition Month. Coldest month of the year. I just want to point that out.
But the warmest school board in
But it's
state
the
of
warmest
Ohio.
And what we have here is, this is from Ohio School Boards. It's a serious appreciation for exemplary leadership and service to public schools presented to each of your names is listed there. School Board Recognition Month, January 2014, signed by the Ohio School Board's President and the Executive Director of Ohio School Boards. So thank you for your service, gentlemen. With this, you get a whole lot. You get a nice certificate.
Thank you.
Oh, we go to Hawaii?
Don't say that. Don't say that. Hawaii, South Korea.
And while he's doing that, I want you all to remember what Mark Twain once said. Mark Twain once said, God created monkeys because he was disappointed with school boards. So,
Mark Twain said a lot of stuff. Some of it they want to strike from the record. We don't believe in censorship. At this time, we would have entertained our first hearing of the public. So feel free to come to the podium. Please limit your comments to, was it 3 minutes? And that's our normal protocol. State your name, please, and where you're from, and the floor is yours.
Okay, my name's Terry Milam. I'm from the south side of Lorain. This concerns my daughter because of the uniform code that's supposed to be addressed in all the schools. She's being stopped almost on a daily basis because she's got a t-shirt underneath her shirt that changes, it just kind of like bleeds through a little bit. They're stopping her, telling her they're going to send her to ISA, they're going to discipline her for having improper shirts on. Her shirt may be untucked. They're telling her they're going to send her down, but you've got students that walk right by, they've got hoodies on, and I have pictures, if you guys want to see them, sitting in a classroom, they got pajama pants on, they got slippers on, And it's not just the students that I'm talking about that is starting to get me disturbed about this, but the principal's daughter does this every day. She don't get stopped, but my daughter does, and maybe a few others. But this is not the first time I brought this up. Last year I was told by the principal that they was going to enforce the uniform code this year at the high school. I don't see it happening. I don't appreciate my daughter being picked on, and I want you to inform them over there, because I'm not going over there to talk to them anymore about it. If the next time she comes home and tells me that she's been stopped and told that she's going to be sent to ISA over this, the next time I come in, I'll have a lawyer with me, and we will address it at that time. And I don't think anybody's going to like the answer that I put out there. But you inform them over there to let them know that it's not going to happen again. And when my son ends up going to the high school over there, if he starts to get picked on, I'll start it all over again. And I won't just be nice and come in here and say this in front of everybody here. I'll bring the newspapers in, I'll bring the television crews in, and I'll put them in here, and I'll put the pictures out so everybody can see them. I'm tired of my daughter seeing every day being stopped and told that. When she wears the proper uniform, she's either got a jacket on like this, which is school colors, which we was told that they could wear, or she's got another jacket that she wears that's school colors. But if I get her to come home and tell me again that she's getting harassed by those security guards over there, when I get done, they won't be employed.
Well, obviously, that's not the right way to do things, and you really don't need to threaten us, but we're going to deal with this. Dr. Hall is a gentleman you need to talk to. Have you talked to him?
I haven't talked to anybody in a year.
Okay.
Because last year when I brought this up, I was told very straight out, flat forward, by everybody that was on the school board at the time, that the uniforms this year would be enforced.
Well,
that everybody's supposed to be wearing them, because everybody's been notified. This has been going on for 6 years, and this is her 6th year of doing this.
Absolutely. Talk to Dr. Hall. He'll work with you on this. He'll give you the number to get a hold of you. Uniforms and dress codes have been issues in districts for years, but we want to solve this. And keep in contact with Dr. Hall. He's right in my office, so we can make sure we get this taken care of. Dr. Hall? That's him. That's a gentleman right there.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals who would like to address the board? At this time, if we could have approval of the minutes from the special board meeting held on Tuesday.
Motion to approve the minutes held on January 8th, 2014.
Second.
Well, it's December 10th, 2013, and January 8th, 2014.
I stand corrected, both of those meetings.
Who's the second, please?
I have.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Is there any old business, gentlemen? At this time, we would move to the report and recommendations of the treasurer. Mr. Weber?
Thank you, Mr. President. There are 3 items on my docket this evening. The first one I wrote to you about was the standard tax budget, which is the county required approval for the budget starting July 1st, 2014. It contains all the funds in the school district, from general funds, special revenue funds, construction funds, everything. Item 2 is a depository agreement for JP Morgan Chase Bank. Periodically, these expire every 5 years. We have to renew them, standard business procedure. And item 3 is a host of donations. So let's take them one at a time. I submit for approval item 1, the 2014-15 tax budget.
Motion to approve item 1.
Support.
Discussion?
Yes, just one thing, Mr. Weber, on the summary page. I think it's the summary page, but yes, up in the left it says summary.
Yep.
On the left, at the first, it's estimated unencumbered balance 70114. That's your estimate of what we will have in the general fund at the end of the school year.
Right, June 30th rolls into July, yeah.
But if you go to the opposite side, I think that's a typo. It says estimated unencumbered balance 63014 Should that be 6:30:13? Right here.
On that, that's a detail page.
Right at the top.
Yes, that actually, that should be 6:30, 15.
Okay.
15.
With that
Yes.
correction.
You're right,
Okay,
you're right.
fine. That was I thought that was just a typo. So.
Yep, thank you for the correction.
Because
My
we would have
apologies.
spent a lot of
Right.
money
Right.
in about a day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So there's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
So it's good for approval of the depository agreement item 2 for JP Morgan Chase Bank for the period of January 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2018.
Motion to approve item 2.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
And I stood for approval item 3, all those donations A through J.
Motion to approve item 3.
Support.
Discussion?
Just want to thank all those folks for donating, as always.
And that's a good point. Do we have some mechanism in place that something does go out?
Doreen will tap it up tomorrow morning. I sign will be in the mail by the end of the week.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, report recommendations of the superintendent.
Okay, we're going to have a number of presentations here. Over the past year, if you remember, I was contacted by John Mullaney of the North Foundation, recommending to me if I would be interested in the school district engaging the services of a process management to improve your process management. I said I was extremely interested, and Stocker Foundation and North Foundation funded to the tune of $40,000 a long process that we went through. We used APQC, which was recommended by us from out of Texas, of which he recommended. We had a gallery walk that was open to the public last year in this room that you came and saw some of the work that we did. With that, there were 4 projects that we took on, which we're going to do presentations on tonight. And we saved a substantial amount of money and improved a lot of processes within the district. We have, with the success that we've had, the APQC and the foundations approached us on a second round of projects, because once you get these type of business, these are business processes embedded, things start to work better. They have done that. They have asked us to put a little bit of money in, which I'll be bringing to the board at the next meeting for a little bit, but they're paying a good 95% of it. But at this time, what I'd like to do is introduce Colleen Kindler, who's our representative from ABQC, who's here from Colorado, and she will explain to you what the process was, and then we'll go through each of the areas that we did and the results of those. Colleen?
Thank you, Tom. You did getting up my presentation. So very nice to meet all of you. I have enjoyed working with Lorain City Schools. This will be our 2nd year. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about the journey and kind of lay the foundation for what you'll hear from the projects, because that's where all the really exciting part is. So my next slide, I come from Boulder, Colorado, but Ohio means a lot to me. I was born in Chillicothe. My first job out of college was in Youngstown, Ohio, working for GM. So it is nice to come back. But here, the mountains, this is a picture from Boulder, where I live, at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, really a very pretty spot. And not having grown up there, I think I appreciate them even more, because hiking a mountain is really about the journey. It's the, what you go through along the way, where your head is, watching your feet so you don't trip and fall. Notice that you're not on the journey alone, and so that's part of what I'm here to tell you about, is the goals is what the mountain stands for. And so each of these projects that you'll hear about had specific goals that were nicely met, and that is part of the journey. Part of the journey is that Lorain City Schools is not the only one on this journey. There are other school districts going through the same thing. and it's a nice opportunity to learn from others. So next slide. APQC is an organization that was started by Jack Grayson. He turned 90 last year. He's a really charismatic leader. He had the vision for what APQC stands for, which is it's a membership organization bringing together, at first they started with businesses. And as Jack got older, he looked at his legacy of what he's interested in leaving behind. And you'll notice that in 1998, he created this special division to focus on education, really looking at, what is going to bring global competitiveness to the United States is bringing our young people up in good schools where that education can then be leveraged towards employment. So with that mission, on the next page, he created this North Star community. So the North Star being one of our stars in the Northern Hemisphere that keeps us on that right path. So we think that that stands for things like empowering our students, making sure that we achieve those student achievement goals. In there are things like doing it efficiently and effectively. So terms that mean a lot in the business world certainly mean the same thing in our education world, where we're being asked to deliver more services with the same amount of budget or less budget. If you look at the starship, which is our means of getting to the North Star, there's one word that seems to appear over and over. Can you pick that one out? What word shows up most frequently? Process, right. So the way that we get there and the way that we make these improvements is by focusing on the process, the way we deliver our services to the community. And so that's really where this approach fits in, is it's our way of looking at the way that Lorain City Schools delivers your services to the community. And that involved some of this work around projects. Next slide. And so these are some of the things that we focus on. Can we get more efficient? Can we look at where there is wastefulness and begin to address that? And I think you'll hear that from the projects that and their successes around that. The next slide shows you that one of the things that APQC does is we've grown to 90 members, and that pulls together a broad community. They track the performance on these projects. So I report back to APQC on the results that we have achieved here at Lorain City Schools. And that goes into that total of $114 million so far. And of course what happens is the trickle effect. So I loved talking with Tom today and hearing that Jeff actually did his own project using this same approach. And those are some of the things not counted in that formal number, but part of what comes from learning the power of this approach. So the next slide just shows where those 90 membership school districts are. And we hold an annual meeting once a year where those school districts come and they get to talk about the success of their projects. We hope for this next year that we'll be able to tell the stories of these 4 projects that Lorain City Schools have done. Next slide. And one of the quotes, click it again, that Jack Grayson uses frequently is, it's about focusing on the process, because you cannot change outcomes without focusing on the process. So if you want to change student achievement, you got to focus on the process of getting there, of what it takes to get those students to that level of achieving. If you want to focus on efficiency and effectiveness, it's about looking at the process that delivers those services to it. So this is the model that we use to looking at the process of these 4 projects and looking upstream at the inputs that are provided, as well as what are those outcomes and are they meeting our targets. Next slide. So there's 3 components to this. It's called process and performance management, or what we boil down to PPM. And it's about looking at managing our processes using data instead of not knowing. And where we find that there are performance issues, there's an improvement approach. So these 4 projects went through an improvement approach around these 4 processes. But the methodology can be used for that ongoing management as well. And what we believe is that everything that you do in a school should lead to student achievement. And so every process has got to fit towards that particular outcome. Next slide. We know that not all processes work as they should, so they're leaky. And that leak is wasted money, wasted people's efforts. So the next slide shows what some of those wastes are. There are things like bottlenecks where things get stuck in the process. They are inefficiencies of too much manual work or dealing with too much paper. And usually when I get this slide up, people start nodding their heads like, yeah, I've been in those processes too. And so this becomes a way to empower change. In the next slide, this is the methodology that we teach. That is, start about defining what the problem is, collect some data through the measure and analyze phase, and understand what's contributing to the problem, come up with those solutions, get them implemented, and then the control phase about making sure that those changes stay in place. So that's what your people have been exposed to. It's been a really effective approach. On the next slide, these are some of our proud moments. We're in my work together with Lorain City Schools. What we did was we started with a leadership group to look at how this can benefit your school district. Then we picked 4 projects and put them through 4 days of training. Those projects got monthly coaching with me to kind of nudge them along and keep them on that path to progress. They attended, Tom as well as 3 other folks came to that North Star conference and heard from some of the other school districts and what they were doing, and can bring some of those learnings to your school district as well. And then the Nord family and the Stalker Foundations were so impressed hearing about the results of these 4 project teams that they signed up for not only the same level of funding, but an increased level of funding for next year. So you have money through those 4 foundations to continue this work. And so what you'll hear about are the 4 projects listed under the 2013 work. And in 2014, what we will be doing is we're going to do half-day workshops to introduce 100 more people throughout the district to what process and performance management is. That will allow them input on what projects we should select for this next year. Those projects will then go through their 4 days of training and get the ongoing monthly coaching with me. So it's a nice path forward. I think you'll hear a lot of good things in our report outs. And on the next slide is to encourage active listening. We're going to ask you to think about what you hear have been some of the discoveries through these 4 projects. And we'd like you to think about, based on what you hear, what are things that you can start doing? What are things that you will stop doing, like you lose the tolerance for inefficient processes or inefficient meetings? And then what are things, maybe you are an improvement-focused person, and there are things that you'll realize that you also do. So what are some things that you will continue doing? And it's about changing from the status quo and challenging this look towards the future so that we don't accept inefficient processes and we don't accept wasteful efforts. So that is what I want to do, is kind of set the foundation for what you'll hear from our presenters. And Tom is going to be the first one and talk to you about the governance project.
What everybody always says is you need to run schools like a business, which in some ways you can, in some ways you can't. In my time working in the school district, we did some Deming, the old Deming model, and some Baldrige, so I do have quite a bit of familiarity with this process and improvement. And when they came to me, I was very interested in that, because so many times what people believe is you just make decisions out of like you come to work with it, you go, I think I need to do this, and I think I need to do this, and that isn't always the case. I'm stuck over here. There we go. Our particular area was district leadership, governance, and restructuring. One thing that this process did teach us, which you'll see through all of them, some of the things I'm going to talk about, the other groups won't have to, because it's very similar as to what we did, is we took a lot of folks that are also on the front line. So when we do the registration piece and that, you'll see people that actually dealt with registration, and you'll see those folks that actually do the work. So the one thing you have to do in this process is identify the problems, the goal, the in scope, and the out of scope. And this was, when I started here last year, this is what we kind of identified, that there was no leadership plan. And I don't think anybody would disagree with that, because I've stated on numerous occasions, I would say, what's our plan? Everybody would say, man, we're just getting to June, man, we're just getting to June. So this is what our goal was, and then what we control, and then what we don't control is the out-of-scope things. After that, part of their process and part of their tools that they have is one is called a SIPOC, which they call, and you can see what it stands for, and you start fitting in the things that go into all of these areas. And you can see what our suppliers, our inputs, our process, our outputs, and our customers were, and then you start at one end and you go to the other end, and that's at the process what you need to do. So we needed to analyze data, establish needed positions, create modified job descriptions, fill positions, and communicate new structures. Because this was about the total governance of the district. You define the voice of the customer. What do we hear all the time? And you can see that, and I'm sure a lot of you said that numerous times in those things. One is communication process. That's always a problem, and that is something we work on all the time. But deadlines and benchmarks weren't always met. We had to set up a phase schedule milestone, and these are the milestones that we set up. The completion is ongoing because our governance structure has to be fluid and move, but it needed to be changed, and the goal was to have it improved by June through November. Of that, then, what we did was you had a data collection. Data collection for governance is a little tricky, but what we did is we did use some surveys, and then we got surveys on the perception of central office, and we got a lot of that information back. Whether it's right or wrong, that's a perception. We did time studies and phone call logs, and you probably heard my people complain because I made them do it for about 4 months. Because you can lie for about 4 weeks, but after a while it's real tough to lie on what you're really doing. I collected meeting formats because I expected agendas. I wanted to see what was going on at meetings. Number of emails. What we looked at was how many times from teachers and people out in the field do we get the same questions. That means our communication's bad if we're getting the same questions all the time. We looked at our current job descriptions. Some were still on ditto form, I think. And then we had an efficiency study. If you remember, we had Wixie, a company employment agency, come in and do a 70-hour study on what they felt was inefficient and efficient with positions within our district. And then I collected resumes from everybody and had interviews with a lot of people, so I knew what their strengths and weaknesses were, because a lot of people in the wrong seats on the bus. And then we started combining responsibility, and we really took a look at labor cost, the number of people versus the labor hours for what it was costing us, and how much redundancy did we have, and how many errors did we have. One of the big things that we came up with was the departments were silos and there was no cross-training. It was too much, well, that's not my job, that's not my job. And that really starts to create a lot of problems. The one thing that we still have issues to do is our paper handling. We still handle paper too darn much. We got to get more electronic and get a bigger handle on our labor costs and unused materials we looked at. Then we went into the analyze phase, and you can see what we did there. In addition to that, we also at that time went into the commission's work, and then the ODE came in and did their climate and culture survey, which has been reported numerous times. But we also had these type of things, a third-party analysis, we had our employee logs, and then we started looking at the value-added versus non-value-added processes, and this was a lot of our inputs for that. The analyze phase, we looked at what was efficient, and you could look at what was the clarity and the quality, and then we identified the process improvement and the process redesign on that. We started brainstorming, and of course you can see we needed a hierarchy, and you can see organizational chart, developing plan, best practices, and then we started going through a lot of these areas, which I'm not going to read, but you could see what we started to look at. Then we started on the weekly executive committee meetings. I began monthly administrator meetings and organizational chart revisions, and started a lightning rod list, which is still an ongoing process of what do people really do? Who's really responsible for what? That was real eye-opening in it. You do that? How long have you been doing that? Oh, when so-and-so left, they didn't know how to do it, so they brought it in my office, so I've just had it for 3 years. So we started to realign a lot of those things. Control phase, and you can read those, and that's pretty clear on what happens there. Process management, then I started putting these things together with the team and looking at those. That's when we started looking at the position reorganization, the workload efficiencies, and getting into the cross-training, and also getting the communications to the buildings, which then we redefined, which we did a lot in the spring, and I started a lot of this process over time, which was the new job assignments and new organizational charts. Now we have a lot of cross-training duties where people do a lot of work here and cross-train.
We had to deal with personality issues. I'm not working with her because I've never liked her, and it was, I really don't care, that those days are gone. The capacity level, some people have different capacities. You always find a busy person to find something to do. Location of departments, this was a siloed type place, and you've noticed what we've done there. We've done a total physical plant redesign, and we've downsized it. The one thing that's been nice there is now when everybody walks in the same hall together, they go, oh yeah, now all of a sudden people are talking to one another, which makes for much better efficiencies. And our next steps, of course, are continuing there. And I've reported on numerous occasions, we've eliminated a number of positions, combined a number of positions, and that's an ongoing process of what we've done. We've moved some people from this building into the other buildings where they're closer to the students and where the work is. That includes our psychologists, that includes our career tech person as an example. But that's what our governance did. Okay, next is, and that final, of course, was the organizational chart, which you have, which I presented at another meeting. Okay, and registration.
Hello, everyone.
Evening.
How are you? Alrighty. We worked with registration, and some of this is going to look very familiar to what Mr. Tucker just went through. And I do want to point out what he said on the front cover there. You'll see we had people from the building who came and were an integral part of this process because they're the ones doing the work. So they needed to be involved in order to make sure that we were really looking at what processes were working and things that we needed to change. So that was very helpful. So we looked at the problem statement as registration processes are not consistently and timely done, resulting in a duplication of work, parent and building frustration, and a loss of student days in school. So our overall goal was to reduce the number of days between registration being contacted by a parent or a building for a shift to the start time of an assigned school and to improve the registration's office responsiveness to the community and the buildings. Again, things that were in our scope of work and out of our scope of work were all identified as well. And we did our SIPOC as well, looking at the processes, the inputs and outputs and the customers, and then that high-level process where you really take an overall look from start to end on how the process works. Within that SIPOC process, then you really look at some detailed mapping. So we did that for the whole registration process, first of all. That's what this one is. And then we did the same for the shift process. We did the same for a withdrawal process.
It's amazing how much work there is for these.
Amazing.
These are all steps that have to be done, mostly
Yes.
dictated by law.
Yes, so the withdrawal process we did, the open enroll process, both inter and intra is on there. And so those processes, you'll see later how that really help to define what the steps are. And while we kind of shot through those screens really quickly, those evolved over time and as the group worked so that we did eliminate some of those redundancies, bottlenecks, all those leaky things that you saw in Colleen's slide. So while we went through those really quickly, it was a lot of work. So defining the voice of the customer, looking at complaint data, either through buildings or in-district people or parents coming into registration, and of course data compiled from registration itself. Our dates there again are pretty much the same, I think. We did a district-wide survey to all buildings and staff, and then we also did parent surveys. And then we collected data on registration from March through June. I'm not going to go through these. I can get you a copy if you'd like, but I just put all of the slides on. That was the parent survey results. But what's really good is you see those purple and maroon and even the lighter yellow slices of those pies up there. Those are all favorable responses. So it was really good to go through that survey. And while there were some things to address, there was a lot of favorable feedback as well. So we looked at the registration data, and you can just see that there. 447 registrations from March to May, over 3,300 electronic shifts completed in the year, total number of transcript requests completed. So that was just some of the data that we gathered as we worked through this.
That's extremely high. And there's not just one paper with those, there's multiple papers. There are very few districts that have that much work done. So if you ask what's registration due, that's an incredible amount of work.
Yeah.
And not one complaint? Did I see the thing right?
Yes, you did. You'll see that again. Yeah, it comes up again. Yes, you did. So again, we looked at our outcomes and outputs. What we really wanted to measure as we were looking at that data, most importantly, what we really wanted to focus on was, the date that a student is registered or shifted, or registration is contacted about a student to the date that that student actually starts in school. That was one of our most important things we wanted to look at. Actually, if you go to the next slide, Mr. Tucker, this is a little more clear. And so we looked at what the key findings were. Again, that we need to make the registration process as short as possible, get students in school quickly, improve the perception that the registration office isn't friendly or community friendly, difficulty in getting records, levels of training. Mr. Tucker already talked about that a little bit, lack of cross-training. If somebody was out, things kind of went to a standstill and couldn't move forward. Getting buildings on the same page, and that's where those detailed process mapping came in really helpful. Now all of the buildings have that. They can simply follow the steps through those flow charts. And then again, obviously having a consistent set of written procedures for the processes to reduce errors. Again, just what we did a lot of cross-training. Everyone in this building now can go down and support registration whenever they need it. We put some things in place for high peak times so that we have that staff right there and available so that parents don't have to wait, and parents can come in and register, get it in, get it out, move on their way. Some other things we did, monitoring satisfaction through surveys, continuing to survey both parents and the staff, contacting surrounding districts to have a one-on-one contact if we need paperwork from another district to help move that process along. We looked at the date of contact and registration because it's all electronic, so we can keep it and know when a student starts, or when the registration process starts to when a student starts in the building. We were able to reduce that by 5 days, which I think is hugely important. So that was a really positive impact of all of this work that we did. Again, just some of the other outcomes. When we cross-trained staff, we were able to take over 300 registrations during the 2-week time period before school started, and 100% of the registration documents were in the school buildings prior to the first day of school. And then, like I said, we've had that process in place now where if there's a certain number of people waiting for assistance, they know who to call to come down and help, and we've done that. At the time, this was done 13 times since we started registration in August. We had a lot of errors in building shifts. We've reduced those to none at the time this was done, and I still think it's none. I haven't heard of any anyway. And then again, the parent surveys that we did were all very positive. We had one complaint previous to this, and we are still, I've not had a formal complaint brought to my knowledge since we've made some of these changes. So again, we're going to continue with what we're doing to monitor these processes. And then on the next slide too, you'll see the cost benefits, getting kids in school on average 5 days earlier, getting information to the buildings prior to students starting so that there's a reduced frustration by building staff and parents, reducing errors in shift processes, and improving responsiveness at peak times in registration, resulting in quicker processes for parents and buildings getting information more quickly too.
One thing, Jane, you want to tell them how many we've registered since we came back 3 days ago?
I think we're up to, I can't do math in my head. No, I think it's even more than that. I think we're up to like 62.
Since we came back from break last Thursday.
After the snow days, yeah. We've had quite a run in registration these last couple days. So thank you. Oh, questions?
Yes, Jane, when you talk about shift, building shift, et cetera, what exactly is that?
If a family moves,
okay,
and they bring in a new address and they shift from one building to another within a district.
Transient.
Yep.
Families. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
I have one question.
Sure, of course. Okay.
One slide indicated you had 29 folks who had responded to the survey, completed the survey.
Parent surveys.
Parents, yes.
In district, we had about 45 surveys returned.
So how many were issued?
You know,
mean,
that's a good question.
yeah.
I have to go back and look, because we just put them out on registrations and encouraged people to take them and respond to them as they were being helped in registration. So I'm not,
That's important.
that is important to
make
know.
that
I can
number make
find out.
sense. It's
Sure.
29 out of what? I mean, 29.
Absolutely, 29 out of.
But if it was
yeah.
500 and only 29 came back,
Absolutely.
like, whoa, what does that mean?
Is that a statistical sample?
Yeah,
So-
I can find out.
Kind of like when you go to the bank and they go, here, fill this survey, you go, ah, no thanks.
Exactly. I'm like, they call you on the phone now.
Sorry, I'm busy.
Exactly, yes, definitely. Thank
You had 8 days to placement on there, like, when somebody registered.
Previous, yes.
Previous, is it lower now?
Yes, now it's 5, and you have to understand too that there are some special factors, of course, students with special records that impact that number. So, but if it's a typical registration with no special needs, it really is lower than 5. But there are always kind of those outliers that impact that number.
What was the, that was the average, correct?
Average, yes.
So what's that far extreme? What are some of the, do we end up having 15 days? I mean, what's,
A lot of it depends on the parent.
and how much material they don't have?
Exactly, and some of
Immunization
it,
shots.
exactly,
Right.
right. So it's hard to say.
By law,
But
there's a
when
lot
they're
of
here,
things
we get them
required.
in really quickly.
Yep.
That's
Really
great.
quickly.
If a student needs a transcript or something, do they have to come to Charleston, or can they, with our cross-training, can they get it anywhere in the district?
No, they have to come here, because the records are here,
Has to be
and the
official.
microfilms are here.
Yeah, has to be official.
It has to be official, yep. All right, so last year, we filled your heads with all the new learning standards that were coming into place and replacing the Ohio Academic Content Standards. So with that in mind, we had to look at, we were going to start digging deeper into the set of learning expectations for our students, our teachers, for those up here at Charleston. And to be truly aligned with the new learning standards, now we had to also dig deeper into how we were going to assess our students. So our problem was we were using paper, pencil, multiple choice, fill in the blank, so on and so on. What I did in school is this exact same thing we were doing 2 years ago. So we had to look at how were we going to delve deeper now into how we can get students to really show us what they know. It wasn't just going to be a regurgitation. It was going to, you're going to have to be able to tell us and show us how you know what you know. We were moving away from the one-size-fits-all, getting away from the who, what, where with comprehension questions. So now our problem was, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to put in place to change the way we assess students? And that was, let's form a balanced assessment system. There are 3 components in the balanced assessment system. There actually are 4 because we do diagnose students, but we're going to include that under the formative piece. Where formative assessments are that I'm still back one time. Okay, where we're actually daily, minute by minute. I could just ask you guys now, how many of you can define for me what the new standards are? And some, it could just be a real quick check. That's your formative assessment. So just a minute by minute daily to know that your students are retaining what you're teaching them. Then I give you immediate feedback, and then when I'm going to look at you guys up here, I'm going to think, I don't know if 3 of these got this. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to think, okay, I might have to reteach to a few of you or whatever, but it's going to inform what I'm going to do. Now I've been teaching all along, and now we're going to put benchmarks into place. And benchmarks are going to take me from one point in time to another point in time to another point in time. Right now, we're doing the NWEA benchmarks. So we did assessments in the fall. We're going to get another assessment piece in the winter time. We'll be able to look at those and see where we are with those 2 assessment pieces. Then we're going to do it a third time in the spring. So we could actually look at that. How did students do from the fall to the winter to spring? And then I can also say, here's where my students were in the fall. Here's where they are in the spring. Did my students show at least 1 year's growth? So the last thing is, now we go into the summative. The summative are your high stakes testing. And that is, what not only have my students achieved, but have they grown? Have every one of our students in Lorain City Schools, has each one of them grown? Whether you're ED, regular ed, gifted, is everybody growing? And the best scenario to compare that to, we were talking to our colleagues, it's no different than a basketball coach with his players. You're going to do formative, all your drills, your skills, dribbling, layups, to your benchmark. We're going to do some scrimmaging games. How are we doing? What do we need to revisit? What do we need to reteach? Who do I need to work with? And then the summative would be that high stakes game. And that's the, do I win or lose? The next one we went into is what we had control over, what we did not have control over, where do we have to put the focus of our scope of work. And we had several factors there. As Jane and Tom alluded to, here is our SIPOC, who are our suppliers, where was our inputs, what was our process that we were working on from the beginning when we started with monthly, or identify our, first, we didn't even have it down pat what our assessment types were. It was just like, okay, here we're going to do quizzes and exams. Now we know there's diagnostics, formative, benchmark, and summative, and each of them tell a different story. And then going to selecting what are the appropriate assessments, building a timeline, a calendar, getting approval, getting your stakeholders, your teachers, to buy into all of this, administering those assessments, collecting the data and responding to that data with interventions, and then with embedding student interventions, intense interventions, so we could fill in the gaps with the students who aren't taking it all in. We had the same voice of the customers as my colleagues did. We don't have time to respond. What do we do? Okay, we're going to get all this data. What are we going to do with all this data? Another test? So we all heard this, and normally you would think, okay, yeah, they're just jawing and complaining. But when we talked about it, they had true serious issues. There was no time cycles. We weren't monitoring. We weren't prioritizing. And then, okay, yeah, another test. Is this another test? Is it really going to be relevant? So one of our 3 main focuses was to build in that time calendar, use the OIP 5-step process for the teachers and the administrators to communicate with each other, and then pick tests that were reliable, valid, relevant, so we had quality tests that we were giving our students. Now you come into the money. It wasn't really easy to go to Dale Weber and say, we need money, because he always says no. And then my next source is Rachel, and you have to beg from her and make it all work. So we really analyzed what was going to be the best benefit, to go through a vendor and pay for a vendor to do it, or use our teachers to help create the tests. Well, in the long run, we did try the teacher-created assessments, and that's where one of our leaky holes, well, we had a lot of little leaky holes in that hose, because it was one of those, we had to sit back and go, okay, this did not work. Because we got back to the teachers saying, is this valid, is this reliable, is it relevant? And no, it wasn't. So now we're going to move to, we need somebody with a vendor, they're unbiased, it's been research-based, et cetera, whereas what we were doing was not research-based. So, this has always been my favorite picture since I've been in education, because basically now what we're looking at is, what is written is our new Common Core, new learning standards, to what is being taught. Do we have a rigorous curriculum in place with our textbooks, our resources, our tutoring people, support staff, assistants, to what is being delivered? Is it just up there to be direct instruction, or are we delivering so the students understand what is expected of them? And then our focus now is, how are we going to assess the students to align to, so that it's a full circle all the way around. Now, not only do our teachers, our students have a say into this, but now there's accountability from not only for the students, but now it's the teachers, the principals, those of us up here at Charleston. We now have accountability in place where we're going to be monitored and evaluated on how our students are achieving. So our goal is to constantly increase student growth, not just achievement, but ensuring that all of our students grow a year. And again, I'm going to go back to that one word again. It's not a one size fits all. I know it's hard to read the bottom chart, but 80% of our that's a tiered instruction. 80% of our students fall into using the regular curriculum. So these are the students that are at or above the core. The next group is our early intervention piece, where we know some of our children need a little slight push. And then our last one is our intense intervention. And that's where we've got Title I teachers in place, tutors in place, after-school tutoring. We have the use of the RIM plan to make sure that we have all these strategies in place. And then ongoing community. It's not just when Colleen left us and we left the committee, we go, okay, we're done with this. When Colleen comes out, we'll brush everything off and we'll pretend that we're working on this. But it's ongoing from where it starts at the TBTs, it goes to the BLT, DLTs, and it spirals right back down. So it's ongoing communication. And that's just a picture then of our balanced assessment system to show you that what our formative cycles look like, our benchmark cycles, and our high stakes. And in summary, our outcomes is there is not one size fits all approach. We're looking now at every single student individually. We are purposely assessing students with intention, and we're meeting our students' needs through tiered instruction. And this is an ongoing, on an ongoing basis. Thank you.
Thank you. You're up.
Employee change process is, employees have profiles for all the financial data and what's called the use data and whatnot. And our team was Kelly Grashing was the lead. Our members were myself, Assistant Treasurer Karen Blazek, Jennifer Castro, my payroll manager, and Juan Cinquez, who works in the HR department as a manager too. And when we have an opportunity to improve the process by which the HR department communicates modifications of employee information to the applicable stakeholders while accurately reflecting in a timely manner any and all employee changes, improving this process will increase efficiency and accuracy, reduce the risk of financial errors and labor hours. And to be fair, one more time, to be fair, this process starts really, not really in the HR department. Because the HR department is a collection point for a lot of information, for a lot of things that affect our business as time goes on. If you think about it, if you are going to apply for a credit card online in your personal life, you go onto Visa or something, you click down those boxes, and you can't make a mistake, right? Because you get choices to click on the box. Rain City schools and many school districts we're 15 buildings held together by paper and email. It is so inefficient and so difficult to get things hooked together properly. We're about the 17th largest district in the state of Ohio, so there's a lot of challenges here to get things to work together properly. And I can tell you for a fact that I was there as assistant treasurer back in 2002, 3, and 4. And I think these problems go way, way back. So we're trying to fix things that haven't been fixed before. So problem statement was the current employee change form process is not integrated across the district, as I alluded to. It results in inaccurate, untimely data, redundancy of work, multiple payrolls, and journal entries. We're gonna circle back to the journal entry issue in a couple of minutes. By September 1st, we're going to reduce the number of employee change form errors to less than 5%, middle of deadlines. We're not there yet with the September 1st deadline, but we're going to keep plugging away at some of these things. Project scope was to implement and maintain a process around employee change form. And this, the employee change form really is, it's a piece of paper that has probably 40 different fields on it that can change for an employee profile, 40. So if something changes and they capture data properly and they ship it over to all the proper approval levels and to the treasurer's office, which is a downstream user, and Mr. Fallows can attest to this, that the finance office oftentimes is a depository for that final document before it gets audited. And it's like if you're a law firm, there's somebody has to make sure that when you're buying a house, everything is signed, ticked, and tied, because in a court of law, they're gonna come back and say, show me the piece of paper, right? That's kind of what we're going for. So those are the things we're trying to get through as we go through this. We had some milestones, like everybody else did. You saw the MAC, the defined measure. Side pocket, you've seen before, we have suppliers of, it could be a leadership team, HR principals, the employee, the principals, and people move around, different buildings, different jobs, whatever. The inputs are the approval notifications, outputs are the change notice itself. The customer's leadership team, finance, HR, EMS, and the customer also could be the employee 20 years from now when they're gonna retire and they gotta get some information to get it verified from retirement systems. I'm thinking about that every single day when I'm laying in bed at night about making sure everything is ticked and tied. Long after I'm gone, if somebody get that information, trust me, I think about it all the time. I just want to show the employee change process. I'm not going to go over all the boxes, but this thing led to 4 other things you're going to see at the end of this thing that are more complicated than this. And what's even more on top of this, Colleen, you love this, Colleen. We took like, I'll call it fast track APQC. We outsourced our subsystem processes because we had some issues with that. And we took some measurements and condensed them together and did some more of these boxes and got everybody together. We revisited again just this past week, okay? So those are things we're kind of taking through this as we go through all this. Next slide, please. The voice of customer, data collection, surveys and conversations, interviews and focus groups. There's still a little bit of work to do on this information here yet. Stakeholders, it affects, like I said, the LCS employees both today and tomorrow down the road. The leadership team, I'll tell you what, just to focus on that for a second. We had a conversation today. One of the inputs to this process is the employee rec form, and it has on their budget information and those kinds of sign-offs. It's another byproduct of something we have to make sure we get that right. It impacts human resource in my office and the EMS office, just so you guys know too, is EMS is another driver, an important driver in school districts, which drives your revenue. When that stuff isn't right, it causes problems you don't even know about. It is so important to get that EMS information correct. Elevator speech, I love this one because this is the one where you got 60 seconds to sell something. I learned this back 20 years ago too, and a couple other things I was doing. So I'm sitting there, you have an opportunity to talk with somebody about your project, make sure you have it, working to improve the employee change form process. We're trying to improve efficiency and the accuracy in the payment of employees, maintain budgetary control, get back to that in a second, and then meet the audit requirements we talked about that a few seconds ago. Increase results, increase accuracy, cost savings, reduce frustrations, trust me, reduce those frustrations. Trust me, it's so frustrating to get this thing wrong and send it back and have the conversations. And we can help, so how can you help, who we're talking to, by supporting us in the process, participating in data collection, and providing suggestions, and to be patient with the whole thing too, because there's a lot of things that people need to understand about how the processes work. We'll go through all the measurement stages. I just want to show you that who collects the data, how long are they collecting the data, where do we get the data from, what we do with it. Next slide, please. And then here's an important one. We took the month of June as a benchmark And if I look back in all the months, there's probably pluses and minuses as far as the 20 movements outside of HR was done. But we found for 2-month process, May and June, half the employee change form process were late, erroneous, whatever. But how much overtime was incurred when we did this? At least 20 hours of overtime, and it translates to $720 for the month, about $2,300 for the year. I'm gonna jump down to that last bullet over there, which is the one that just blew me away. That my office did almost 4,000 lines of journal entries because of the incorrect information. That just, it floored me when I saw it. We gotta fix this stuff. It's so cumbersome to go back and redo information all the time. A lot of root cause analysis. If you keep asking why is something happening, there's something called the 5 whys. You ask why 5 times, you get down to the root cause. That's the time you get it fixed. And I told you before that the employee change form process will lead you into other process flows going to time. And we've got, there's adds of staffing, next slide. There's modifications of positions, and then replacement of employees too. And the thing I bring up on here too is, my secretary loves my sports analogies. You know, on Monday morning, you know, after the football game, you watch the tape to see where you make your mistakes, you can fix them. We do it all the time. We talk about that kind of information all the time. We review the tape all the time. There's an iterative process, a process improvement to see where your mistakes are made, to see if you can change them. So this has been super helpful to us, and it lays a great foundation. I commend Tom for bringing it in and to help us through the process. I think it's a great thing.
The redesign of HR was for this year was based upon this data, because remember, you're looking at data that's a year old. This is all a year ago, because this was started last March, actually, February, March. So a lot of what we've done now is a result of this process.
And the HR treasurer stuff, and Colin can attest that is common throughout many school districts. It's just an issue. You have to get them tied and hooked together to make sure things are working properly.
Okay. Any questions on any of that? You can see the process, and it's an ongoing process to use business model to try to improve our processes. And all of these, the registration is to get students into classes quickly. The employment process is to get the right people in the right place for the students properly. The governance is to get the right people in the place to help the people in the classroom to make sure it happens. It all is about trying to get efficiency for school district and children. Questions?
Thanks for calling. You need to call in, right?
Yes.
Don't have to wait without you. There's a tendency in private sector, maybe public sector, to always be looking for something better, so that by the time a program gets to its true beneficial stage, companies are already looking for something else. In your opinion, how long does the district have to stay on this path to have a permanent, positive, long-term effect on their...
Best case scenario is it becomes the way that you solve problems within the school district.
Part of the culture.
That becomes part of the culture. So you do it long enough till you find people, you know, just approach it that way. Some of the stories that Tom shared with me today is, you know, that's what Jeff did in organizing his group. Mark and Jane worked on a project, and they used the DMAIC approach as a way of solving the problem for an IT.
In fact, the SOES that we're approving tonight is a direct result. Asked Mark and Jane to look at that. Mark came in with a side pocket, and he went through the whole process with Jane on how to reorganize that SOES, which is part of our registration because they had done it. It was a direct result of the data that showed us there. We're trying to show that we just didn't go, oh, I think that person ought to do it. You know, today I think we're going to use this test, that we are going through processes here.
And then the other piece that I would add is that research from organizations from the business side that have looked at, well, what does it take to get that immersion where it becomes part of your culture? And it says you got to at least expose 10% of your employees to it. And so with that bit of knowledge, that was also what allowed us to put into the year 2 plan these half-day sessions, so we can get another 100 people that are at least familiar with it and can then begin looking for some of those continuous improvement opportunities.
Okay, well, thank you, and also thank you to those foundations who provided the money. And thank you for being willing to try and learn new things. I know that's always like, so congrats to the administrators and the staff and all you folks who did that good stuff.
And as you know, educators don't necessarily think in this format like business folks, so it's broadened a lot of us. Okay, under personnel matters, recommendations of the superintendent. Personnel matters A, item 1, A and B, these are approval of discontinuances as listed there, they're all retirements. Item 2 consists of new employments. What we've got under A is a Gear Up tutor. This is Grant. This is a part-time position to tutor kids to get ready to take the test. Support staff, SOES registration coordinator, which is part of what we just talked about. And then we have 2 floating custodians for which we do when needed. Because of the retirement up above, we are recalling someone off the RIF list for item 3. Item 4, leave of absences as listed there. Item 5, these are the family literacy coordinators. These are title funded positions that are required as part of title and part of the outreach for our family literacies at each individual building. The reason some of them are half is some of the teachers split the amounts. And B, non-certified staff. I'd like to point out that the basketball assistant is a replacement for our coach who left, so it's just a replacement, and the other one is a volunteer. So I would ask for, let's see, no, item 6 on the other side, I'm sorry. Item 6, yes, item 6, a hiring. What this is Ohio High School Athletic Association changed the rules a while back that they have to be monitored now that our wrestlers don't lose too much weight over time, so that has to be done. This is a requirement. Item 7, recommend the board authorize those folks that they can do the play-by-play for the TV20 sports. So I ask for approval of personnel matters, items 1 through items 7.
Motion to approve item 1 through 7.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Okay, operation matters B, item 8. This is to provide Excel training to our support staff. What this is we are tramping up the PD for some of our secretarial staff so they have more familiarity and get some additional training. Item 9 is Pearson Education. This is so they can do more with the professional development workshops and for teaching the English language learners. This is a Title 2A grant, and it's also part of the corrective action plan. Item 10 is a contract with Lorain County Community College for parent engagement. If you're familiar with the computer literacy program that Tim Howard does, this is an extension of that to do even more of that with our folks, teaching our parents how to use computers to access their students' information. Item 11 is, we talked about Northwest Evaluation, NWEA. This is for the principals and the can learn how to use that data even further because there's a lot there. This is a Title 2A. This is part of the academic plan. Item 12 is approval of the ESC County to provide a social worker for our New Beginning students. And the gentleman, was he still? Yes, he's here this evening. We'll introduce him in just a second. Correct? Yep. Okay. So I ask for approval of Operation Matters B, items 8 through 12.
Motion to approve item 8, 9, 11, and 12, excluding 10.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Item 8, 9, 11, 12. Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. And now we need a motion.
For item 10.
Motion to approve item number 10.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Abstain,
Reason for abstaining, sir?
because I'm employed by Lorain County Community College.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Okay, on other matters, C, we were ready to approve the calendar dates and association I had agreement on, but as you may or may not know, under Ohio Revised Code, they're changing a whole lot of the rules next year. First time in a long time they've changed the rules. We're going to hours now, not days. And I think we're okay legally, but because it's early enough, I want to pull it and it'll be back next month, just so I can double check. So I'd like to pull items 13 and 14. And Dr. Hall, could you introduce our gentleman we just hired for this evening?
I'd like to introduce Mr. West, who's working on an alternative program as one of our social workers here. Working with, also encouraging to do a CBI program with alternatives.
And this one too.
Our students here, various different programs for our high, especially focus on our high school students.
Thank you.
And I really like that hairstyle. You got good barber, man. I like that.
That concludes my recommendation.
Thank you. At this time, gentlemen, is there any new business for discussion?
Yes, I would like to go back to my point from the organizational meeting and move that the district ask for proposals for legal services so that we can determine if we want to go with any one or particular law firm or attorney. It's only asking for proposals, it's not doing anything.
I would support that motion.
Okay, so we're in the,
Need a motion.
We really don't need a motion for that.
so the motion comes from Jim, support comes from Mitch, and now we're in the discussion phase.
And that is what we did, as Mr. Demakia will remember, 6 years ago. And it was very fruitful for us. We've saved money. It's just that every so often, I think we are obliged to relook. That's all this is for. Any attorney or law firm is free to send a proposal to Mr. Weber, and that would be shared with board members. And at a future meeting, we could decide whether or not we want to appoint a specific law firm for different things. And it's just good business. That's all.
Any other discussion?
I just think this approach is certainly a best practice for Lorain City School District in particular.
Mr. Tucker, in terms of expediting this, Mr. Weber, is there any thing that we need to do? Just
No.
you ready to execute?
This comment.
Good. Good. So, any other questions, gentlemen? Roll call, please.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Any other new business items? Committee reports, requests from board members. And at this time, we would entertain a second hearing of the public. Mr. Paul Bieber.
They're former board members. I don't know.
Yeah, just a couple things I wanted to ask the board. After Mr. Milam, I had a couple more, and then after the presentation, I had about half a dozen more, but since I've only got 3 minutes, I'll stick with my original 2. Also, just sitting through that presentation, it's amazing what you have to go through to keep this running. I'm glad the headache I went to bed with for 37 years started to come back. And I'm glad I'm out there in the ivory tower. But the first thing is, I was at the Lorain-Elyria basketball game, and it was a packed house, good old days, both teams, etc. The unfortunate thing was the game was in Avon, as opposed to in Lorain or Elyria. And I think it's at a stage where it's at an individual board level. I would encourage members of the board to talk to fellow county school board members and try to get a Lorain County League going. It's time. And that rivalry plus numerous others. I know they're trying administratively, but it's only going to happen if board members can allay the misconceptions and misperceptions that many others in the county have about our district. So that was one. The second one is I would really like the board, given the fact that information has been forthcoming about unauthorized communications between administration, board, contractors, etc., and the OSSFC, as well as the fact that the power lines are now down, that the board gives some serious consideration to reconsidering the river site. So, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Any other individuals who would like to address the board this time? Thank you, and also thank you for your patience. That was a lot of meeting. That was a lot of stuff, boy. And when she put those acronyms, I saw BLT. Man, I was like.
Afterwards, we all meeting somewhere?
He told us what it was. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I digress. Well, I guess at this time, we don't have a board work session, thank goodness. Announcement of the next board meeting?
It would be either third Monday would be the January 20th, or after that would be first Monday, February 3rd. Am I thinking right there? Board's pleasure on.
Since we're where we are in January, I would suggest that we do the that we would do the January meeting.
It's January
Yeah.
20th?
That's
I think that's Martin.
That's right.
Oh.
We're gonna close that day.
21st.
21st?
Yes.
That's a special meeting, that's the day, you don't have time to do
I
that.
got an ABC meeting the next
Why don't we just go to February, because he's got another,
Okay.
why don't we just go to, what's that, the third?
February 3rd, the Monday.
That's Monday.
The board docs people will be here on the 3rd and the 4th, I mentioned earlier, for the training. On those 2 days. Okay. What times? They're gonna do it during the day or when you're available. Okay, and then they'll come to the board meeting and have a presentation there also.
Okay. So.
What's the time period? Is it an hour, 2, 3, 4?
An hour with any questions you have.
Thank you. Can we get back to? So when is our board meeting?
Watch out for the crossfire.
When is our board meeting? Somebody tell me so I know.
Monday, February 3rd at 6:30, I'm assuming right here.
Charleston.
Room 10.
Be there. May I now have?
Motion to adjourn.
You beat me.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Second.
Let's discuss this for a while. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yeah.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fells?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
This has been a production of Lorain City Schools, TV 20 WLCS.
To purchase a high-quality copy of the program you just viewed, please call Lorain City Schools Television at 282-8400.